All right. So I'm standing here at training, and we're going to talk to somebody about a situation they got, and I just thought the infinity screen was kind of cool. So that's pretty neat because we're going to use that screen later, but it's forever. That's cool. So Robin's got a client that is particular. It's a good word instead of picky about what house they're going to buy, which is fine, right? You're spending a bunch of money. It's a long-term investment. In most cases, like that'll be okay. But they're looking for, $250,000 in a well-known as a more expensive part of town. They're looking for, in-laws quarters of some sort.
Well, they've switched now.
Oh yeah, in theory they were. They were looking for in-law quarters.
Still same situation.
Yeah, same people. The mom actually, just to prove our point, the mom has decided, I'm moving on. You guys are crazy. You're taking too long. You're being too picky. I'm not going to live with you now, and I'm just going to go find a house or whatever, an apartment.
She ran out of time.
Yeah, where'd she end up going?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so she's gone to an apartment, a friend's house, left town again. Who knows? She was going to live with them, but now she's not because that's how picky they are or how particular they are. So one of the things that Robin's 100% right, I'm going to pull up the text here just to remind myself a little bit. But basically, her client said, they don't want to go above 240,000 because 250,000 is really our ideal budget, and we need room left there for the roof. That's what it says. Kind of says rude, but I guessed roof. So they don't want to go above 240 because their budget is 250. And we need room left there for the roof. Well, interestingly enough, there's no room left for them in the roof. The roof is cash. That's $10,000 to pay the roof, not 240 to 250 in your loan amount, right? So people have that thought, and that's something to remember a lot when it comes to the way we do concessions. Even this is not under contract. This is not an inspection thing. But when we do concessions, people are like, "Oh, well, just let's just knock the price down. There's $20,000 worth of work to do in the crawl space. Okay, great. Let's knock the price down, $20,000 in the house. So now instead of 250, we're going to pay 230. Well, as much as that works functionally over the next 30 years, that doesn't give the people $20,000 to do the work in the crawl space. So our clients are already not thinking right. Like, okay, well, I understand that 250 is your budget from what I want to spend, what I can spend, what I've got down payments for, what I want on my monthly payment, all those things. But by reducing and paying 240 for us doesn't give you your 10,000 cash or 15,000 cash you're going to need for a roof. So there's one kind of problem that we need to fix. So, hey, that doesn't fix your roof problems. Those are separate things. Now, if we want to go into a good way to handle that would be, hey, we'll pay you $250 for the house. Of that $250, we want you to write a check to a contractor for $10,000 so that we can have the roof replaced. Now we just solved both problems. They've got their budget of $250 nailed, and they've got the $10,000 cash to do the roof. So that's an idea on how you do that. That would be on an addendum that nobody ever sees but us. Okay, that does not end up at the lender. That does not end up at the title company. It just is what it is. Now, there are times for sure when we cut checks to contractors from closing. You just have to be careful and talk to your lender before you start writing it in a contract. Just talk to your loan officer. So that's one thing. And then there's more. We also wouldn't want to waive any inspection because of the condition we can clearly see on the outside of the house or offer as is. Perfect. I'm down with that. They already know there's issues. There's likely going to be issues in an older home. So we're going to do inspections. Perfect. Like, communicate the reality. Anytime you try to pull tricks on people, which I'm down with tricks and creativity and all that, but when you do it, it does make it a lot more difficult. And if we already know we're going to be coming back and asking for stuff, most of the time it's just easy just to put it the real deal. And otherwise you're going to have a headache on your hands the entire transaction. But sometimes, you do as is and then you just don't do as is. But then you talk about the ramifications of that, which we'll get into at other times, and there may be videos by the time you're watching this. But we never counsel to waive inspections, so that's fine. It's just an option to be strong. Like, we want to make sure you have got every tool in your tool belt to make the best decision for yourself. Waiving inspections is not something I'm going to go, hey, this is definitely something you should do. I'm going to say it's something you can do if you're interested, but here are the risks, here are the rewards. They're going to make that decision. As is, obviously, we're going to fully explain what that means to them. We'd want the full regular inspection process. Great, no problem. That's easy. This is the first one we've really looked out at.
Just the two of them.
Okay, just the two of them, without mom. With our budget being $250,000, I think we will have to look at houses priced a little lower than that, so there is some room to offer higher above asking price if necessary. That is you saying that, or is that them saying
That's
that?
that.
Oh, good. Yep, so that's right. So we need to be, so one of the things I tell buyer clients and seller clients, smart buyer clients, in a market like we're in, where it's a seller's market, if they can go 250, their searches probably don't go much above 240. Because if the house is priced 240, you got to be 250 just to be a participant, right? 10% over asking, 5% appraisal gap is normal. That is playing ball. That's on the field. That is not winning the game, but that is at least you're on the field. That's what that's about. 10% over asking, 5% over 5% appraisal gap. That's how I've kind of done it. And you hear that, that's going to be 12.5 over asking on a $250,000 house. Hold on. Thank you. There may be two more. Nope. Well, at least not yet. That's crazy how long it takes for my head to move.
Especially the back ones.
Oh, look. All the Eli's are like in sync there. Oh, my.
All right, that's fun. Sorry, that was your intermission. All right, so we're saying smart buyers, they're on a 250 budget. Their price isn't on their search. There's not going over 240. I mean, heck, you could do 250, whatever. You could do 275. Is there a chance something's going to go on sale? Sure, but man, odds are 240, 235. That's your top list price. Here is why. More clapping. Here is why. Because smart listings also know that smart buyers are or should be doing this. So therefore, how do I price my listing? I don't think we can do this anymore. Now that we realize what's going on. Smart listings know that the buyers are doing this. So therefore, they're pricing their listings differently. This is part of your communication with your buyer, part of your communication with your seller. Is the seller. This is why list price is arbitrary. It's not arbitrary. It is a functional purpose, which is to get the right people looking at the house. I want to get this house in the right people's search criteria. It's a $250,000 house. Guess what? I know all the smart buyers are doing. They're searching at 240. But let's go the other way. Let's go a little higher. It's a 260 house. Why is one of the many reasons I might price it at 250? Because I know the people that can afford 260 are searching for 250 because they know they have to go over asking. So to look for a 260 house, they can't win. So now I've got my entire buyer set searching at 250. So as a seller, I've got to price it so they see it. And as a buyer, you've got to understand that these sellers know what we're doing. We're searching at 240 or 250. So their 260 house is not listed at 260, it's listed at 250. We do not list based on what we want. We based on who search criteria we're going to go into. So that's why as a buyer, you cannot think at any level anything strong about list price, high or low. Well, just because it's super high doesn't mean we have to pay it. So what? Write an offer. Just because it's super low doesn't mean that's all we have to pay. Write an offer. And what I do is take this silly asinine example. If this house was listed for $1, how much would you pay for it? That's a better indicator of its value. Not, well, I'm not paying above list price. What are you talking about? You're not paying. What if we listed it at $1? Are you not going to pay $1.10? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And then they go, well, no. Okay, cool. Well, let's apply that to this just because they have it. Like here's the comparables in the neighborhood. Here's the market trajectory. Like this could be worth well more than this. Matter of fact, we have them. We had a house recently. We listed at 375. I wasn't really sure about it. No, we ended up listing at 350. Listed at 350. We were talking about what we're going to list at because I like to land on the big numbers anyway. We're at 350, 375. It's somewhere in here. You know, we don't really know who's going to show up. The market's changing a little bit. So we're like, they took the wise route. Let's list it at 350, get it in as many people's search criteria as possible. Because would we be happy to sell it at 350? Sure. Not as happy as 375, but we'd still take 350. Like, that's better than 325 that they thought it was going to be worth. We listed 350. We ended up with a 380, and it appraised.
For 380?
No, not really. It appraised for like 368. So they had an appraisal gap. So it was right where we thought it was going to be, somewhere between 375 and 350, but it was, even to the appraiser, it was worth 365 to 370. And so those buyers, had they had your perception as the buyer that's thinking they shouldn't pay above list because they've put in too much stock in somebody else's analysis, it just doesn't make sense to me, then they wouldn't be buying the house, and it just wouldn't have worked out. So anyway, that's the thing with when I'm talking to my buyers about this whole I'm not paying above what it's worth appraisal value, gap. I'm not paying above list price. Like, all right, Grandpa, like, let me just tell you how auctions work. Auctions start at $10 and then they work their way up. List price, opening bid, right? These things are low every single time. No, not every time. Sometimes the opening bid, the reserve doesn't get met. I mean, I don't know if you've all been there on eBay back in the day, or still, I guess, or at a real auction or a silent auction, and somebody's got some tickets to the Indians game for $800, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. And the reserve doesn't get met, the tickets go back in the coffer. That's what happens to houses too. It's an opening bid. It's a starting price. Those are analogies that I use all the time, and I talk about how when I coach listings, we don't coach based on the value of the home or what we want out of it. We coach based on getting the search criteria in the right search criteria for the right buyer. So my houses are very seldom listed where they're actually worth. They're listed so the right buyer sees them, period. And then, talking about, at some point here, I feel like they talk about an appraisal gap. Yep, we don't love the house enough to put an offer way above asking price or cover an appraisal gap. That's fine, right? I talk a lot to buyers about, well, what should we offer, Eli? I hate that question. I don't know what you should offer. I don't know how bad you like the house. I don't know how bad you need out of where you're currently at. I don't know who's rich in your family and could buy this from you if you ended up in a bad situation. I don't know any of that stuff. So here's what I'll say. Give me on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, Eli, I gotta have it or I'm burying you in my current backyard. And 1 being, I would honestly barely take it if they gave it to me for free. Mm-hmm. Where are you at? We're probably, and I might give them a few other things. 5 is like I like it, but I don't like it. Like I'll take it if I get a deal. 7, 8, that is, I really do like the house, but I'm probably not going to change my life over it. 10 is like I said, if you don't get this from me, Skinner, I'm gonna bury you in my current backyard that I'm stuck in. And once I know that number, I can help you make a decision. Because otherwise, I'm just going to be throwing out the 20 different strategic options for you to pick from, and you're going to be confused. But if I know, hey, I'm 11 out of 10 on this house, like I've got to have it or I'm going to die. Okay, cool. Well, here is the strategic things I would consider employing, and I'm going to give them all of them. You need to be offering asking price. You're, as much as you could possibly stomach, like $1 million. Like, let's go. Appraisal gap. How much cash can you have and how much cash can you come up with? We're going to go to waiving inspections or limiting scope inspections or limited negotiation dollar amount inspections. We're going to go to offering a seller incentive if they take our offer. Like, we're going to write you a check for $2,000. That's not even earnest money. It's money that is your money, seller, just for saying yes to us. On and on and on the story goes. We're going to pay your taxes. We're going to pay your closing costs, Mr. Seller. So I like that they're thinking how much they like the house in relationship to their offer. That's how I help them make those decisions. And then, when you do find out that a client is unrealistic in their expectations, they want that $250,000 house, but they want it to be 4,000 square feet with an in-ground pool and a full basement that's finished on 10 acres in Center Grove.
And no repairs.
Right, and perfect shape, and then there's like this sense you kind of want to treat them like your kid and go like, listen, if you want, like, you're crazy, this is not going to work, you're never going to find that. Well, then that's a good way to drive them away. But if you can help them think through the houses that you're sending, or maybe you can even be like a concierge service where you get them and then you send them to them after you vetted them. Bad news is they're going to still look all over Zillow, right? So they're going to see all these houses. But every time they send you a house, tell them all the reasons it's not going to work. Oh, darn it, that one's not going to work. Doesn't have a finished basement. Looks like there's some work to be done in the kitchen. I mean, not because you're trying to talk them out of it, because you're trying to stop showing stupid houses that don't make any sense. And they don't care. It's like me searching for bourbon. Like, I'll waste time searching for bourbon all day. My wife, no, there's no way she's going to bounce store to store to store to store to store, finding absolutely nothing. She's not going to do it. So we're the same way. It's like, we want to help you, but we're not going to just be along for some silly ride here. Yeah. So that's why I would say definitely start telling them all the reasons the house they just sent to you won't work. Hey, can we go see this one? We probably could. However, we talked about, you had mentioned last house that this is the same situation, So I can't give you examples of that, but it could be there's no basement. You said you wanted a basement. And the last 4 houses we went to that didn't have basements, you kept saying, darn it, if it only had a basement. Well, guess what? This one's going to be another if only it had a basement. So, no, we don't need to look at that one. And eventually, you get to make a decision. Am I going to continue to help them, or am I going to not? We got a person on our team that's been looking with the same person for 9 months, and they're
9 months.
constantly dragging her around town. But it's hard because they're going to go, at some point in time, that woman is going to buy a house. It's just a matter of who she's buying it with. And our person is so far willing to stay in the game because she looks at it like, well, there's a throwing good money after bad. You ever heard of that? Or pot committed in poker? It's where I've already put so much money on the table that if I fold now, I'm going to lose, and I'm going to put more money in. It's a terrible plan because now you're just going to lose more money when you get beat. So you might as well just cut your losses, take my chips. I'll live to die another day. An agent, we have that opportunity sometimes too, where we're going, I've already spent 50 hours with this person looking at stupid houses, and they're nitpicking every one of them. It seems like they're never going to buy a house. I mean, she's had the perfect home multiple times for her. And we know that because she came back and put backup offers in after they were already pending. Like, this woman is terrible at this. But this person on our team has the opportunity to go, I've already invested 50 hours. Am I willing to invest another one? Yes. Another one? Yes. Another one? Yes. Another one? Yes. Pretty soon it's going to be another 50 hours and no house. Or it could be one more hour and a paycheck.
That's just a thing. You don't know.
You don't know. So if you've got a bunch of other stuff going on, that's a great person to pawn off to a new agent that just wants business and people. That's fine. Or fire them. That's fine. You guys may not have yet, but most people, after being in the industry a while, have fired a client. It's just like, not going to work out. Doesn't make sense for me to continue to do this. So it's probably not them yet, but it's definitely helping. It's like there is a sense you want to treat them like your child making a big life decision about careers, colleges, cars, investments, these things. They need a lot of guidance. They need to know, they need help sorting through it. They're snowblind, they're emotional, they're scared, they're excited. I mean, those are emotions. Like, these are all the things that they're experiencing, and they need us to go, nope, don't need to look at that house. That doesn't have a basement. There's no reason to look at that house. It's just a waste of our time and our emotions and whatever. So that's my take on some of that stuff. Tough buyers are tough buyers. They don't sound like they're terribly tough in all ways, but they're definitely tough in some ways.
Yeah.
And the more you can, here's the thing, you'll never lose something you never had. You currently, we don't have there's no sale happening. So you can't lose a sale because you never had a sale. You can lose a client, which you did have a client, but you're aware of that. So for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, so I'm going to have some pretty strong heart-to-hearts with them, put my foot down in some ways in really kind, loving, gentle, parenting sort of ways. And if they choose to move on, I didn't have to fire them. I've had multiple people move on in my life that I didn't have to end up firing or kicking out or whatever because they've eventually caught on. They weren't cutting it. They didn't like the pressure that was going to be placed on them to perform. And they just moved on and everybody's happy. It's fine. So if you can have those hard talks, either they're going to value you for it and like you even more because, boy, she really held our feet to the fire when she needed to, and they're going to tell their friends about it, how you were like that strong father figure in their life or whatever. Or they're going to go, boy, she's a turd, and leave. And you're going to be like, okay, well, out of sight, out of mind. That was easy. So